Hey, it's Vanessa, and welcome to a new conversation on energy. This one is going to be about trusting your read of the energy. It's going to be an off the cuff conversation. I have no agenda, but it's a topic I'm intimately familiar with, both personally and then helping others navigate that path of trust in your intuition, trust in your read of the energy. Um, I've supported many through that journey. A few things I want to share with you today in service of you trusting your read of the energy. I first want to welcome you here, whether you are new or returning. Thank you for tuning in. I do appreciate your presence, and I would love for you to like, comment, subscribe, share, click to get notifications, all that good social media stuff so this gets out to more of my people. And the only announcement I want to make right now is around the Energy Guide program. It is really all about the higher purpose for your energy sensitivity, being able to work with your intuition that is getting and going to be getting even louder than it already is. We are wired with energetic gifts, and we are meant to be using them to navigate our life, to navigate this collective paradigm shift, to help support and facilitate healing for others, right? There's many different ways that our energy gifts and our intuition is serving to support our awakening and evolution. This and so much more is the basis of this program. There's an empath track for those of you that are the energy sensitives that want to really dive a lot deeper with your own personal transformation. And then there's a certification track for those of you that want to start or expand your business as a certified energy guide. And then that one comes with a lot more extra perks to do so. So just go to my website, vasmith.com/energy-guide, and you'll get all the details about it. And with that, let's just jump into the topic. Trusting your read of the energy. What do I want to tell you about? Oftentimes we get into these mental loops with ourselves, right? Where we're trying to evaluate either what is happening in a situation, what we need to do about a situation, how to be with whatever is happening in our lives. And sometimes that bumps up against what we think is actually possible for us. And sometimes it simply just bumps up against our trusting of our read of the energy, right? We can go mental, like get in our head about things, versus just actually tuning in and reading what is going on with the situation. You are unconsciously, intuitively assessing and energetically reading everything and everyone. There are some of us that it's always been a lot louder for, and some of us that is now being activated within our system. So you may notice these intuitive hits and insights dropping in more frequently. You may also notice feeling more sensitive to other people's energy, to how you receive that, to being in certain places that just really do not resonate with you anymore. There's many different ways that this sensitivity and this enhanced intuitive ability can show up. And so, what I really want to plant the seed for is knowing that these abilities have been with you your whole life, right? So, whether you paid attention to them or not that's a whole different story, right? But they've been a part of your wiring and a part of your system. And you're now at a consciousness place where you become more aware that they're there. You're like, oh, yeah, actually, I remember when I was being guided in this way, or when this thing happened and I totally set it aside and didn't give it any kind of credit because I didn't have proof, or whatever it is that we tell ourselves. And so the first step in really being able to trust your read of the energy is to acknowledge that the ability to read energy and to know things intuitively has always been wired within your system. that in and of itself will take you out of the game of, but I'm not intuitive, or this is all new to me, or all of these various things that we tell ourselves that basically diminish our abilities when you don't need to do that, right? And so we want to find ways to build trust within ourselves so we can see what's actually available to us. Now, the next step in building trust is going back to, your filing cabinet or Rolodex of all of your memories of situations where you got an intuitive hit or you got a real clear sense of what was going on energetically. You could read the room or read the person or read the situation or whatever it was. You're like, I know, because energy always tells the truth, right? It highlights what's going on underneath the surface. And we have an immediate felt body or emotional reaction to that. It's just generally our minds that tend to talk us out or look for justification as to why we sense what is happening isn't actually happening. And so there is I want to say, a deprogramming that does need to take place in your mind. But to kind of go back to this second step for developing trust of your energy read is to make a list of all of the times that you did and did not trust your intuitive assessment or your energy read. Think of the situations where you're like, oh, I knew I should have, and I only realized that afterwards. Or think of the times where you're like, oh, I didn't think that this would happen if I followed this, but I did follow it. And then this thing happened and it was amazing, right? So a story of synchronicity. The more you do this, this kind of goes back to the first point, is you are acquiring evidence that you are always intuitively assessing and always reading the energy. And as you're doing this, this piling up of evidence, what naturally begins to happen is you start to trust. You begin to make conscious, become aware of, intentionally go, wow, this is actually a very active part of my life. I do trust it. This is what happened when I didn't trust it. And so it's that process in and of itself, that awareness that helps you then you effectively say, I do trust my intuition. I do trust my read of energy. And the more that you are in the not just the energy or the frequency of trust, but really the identity, it's an upgraded identity of you, right? So here's the third piece that is popping through to share with you is we have a persona that we show up as. It's our identity, right? And I'm like this, or this is how I do things, or this is whatever. There is a belief, all the beliefs that you carry around with you, right? All your assumptions and of how life works aren't just little statements. They're actually form an identity of you. And so if you have been walking around with this identity of, I don't trust my energy reader, I don't trust my intuition, that's you creating this essentially an energy signature and an energy structuring of I am the person that lacks trust. Now, I recently posted over on Instagram, I think it was. Maybe I'll put the link. Oh, did I put that up? No, I think it was in my stories. But it was about this idea of lack. So I'll just tell you about it instead. Um, we think that lack exists, but it actually doesn't. Because I want you to think about, I'm going to relate this back to trust in just a moment. But when we think of lack, like we have a lack of health or a lack of money or a lack of trust or a lack of love or whatever the lack is in, there's usually a lot of it, right? There's usually like, I have so much, like, let me give you all the ways that I am lacking right now. So we actually have an abundance of lack. And what that tells you is wherever you're putting your point of focus is really cons- uh, one is abundant. Like all that actually exists is the abundance of whatever it is that's in front of us that we're zoning in on. And so when you're zoning in on the lack of trust, you start to apply that belief, that identity, that assumption onto everything that you do. So anytime you get an intuitive hit, you're like, oh, here's all the times that I didn't trust that intuitive hit. Yeah, I really lack trust in that. But you've got the like abundance of evidence that you lack trust. And then you show up in this sort of distorted, contorted energy signature of you, this identity of, that has a certain way it talks, it walks, it holds its body, it relates to people, right? You know what that's like when you come across people. You can just look at two different people or look at different past versions of yourself, and you'll see that, you know, who you are when you show up as, say, a confident person versus who you are when you show up as not so confident is very different energy. And so it's the same thing. It really is about the intentional cultivation of the identity, the real true identity that we want to show up as, because we're all moving towards this. It feels like a flow, right? We're all moving towards this real sense of alignment with our authentic truth. And how do we show up as that? And so one of the most humbling ways to do it is to catch yourself in a lie. And a lot of the things that we tell ourselves are often based on non-truths. And so building this evidence of your trust bank of what happened when you did and didn't follow and trust your intuition and your energy read is going to help you form a new identity, form a new alliance and allegiance to the version of you that says, this is accurate. This is the direction that I'm going in. This is who I am. If everything is abundance, then I would like an abundance of trust. So let me start cultivating that on purpose. If I do read energy, if that's naturally wired in me, let me then see the abundance of evidence of how that's been the case. Like everything, just takes a little practice. And so it's really key for us to develop humility, grit, patience, um, and presence with what's actually happening through the lens of wholeness, right? When we start to see more of the whole picture of us, of the reality of what's actually happening, then we stop feeling so stuck. We then become aware of more possibilities, more opportunities, more connections with people that we hadn't yet considered, right? So that's what I want to say about that piece. And the last thing I want to add in here is that we're moving. This is more my collective energy read. We really are moving into a time where um, it's very important to be connecting with people that you feel a resonance with. That doesn't mean you have to be snotty about it. Like if you don't like somebody, you always still, I personally think it's always good to still be kind. Sometimes that might be hard to do. But again, everything is practice. But to, really, and we come across all sorts of people in the world, absolutely. But to be holding the vision, the vision, which is really energy architecture, right? It sends out an energy signal that this is what I'm holding. This is who I am. This is what I'm envisioning, and that begins to, kind of quite alchemically change who comes and goes into your life. And so it really gives you, feedback and time for pause to realize, oh wow, if this is the energy that I'm getting back in, what is the energy that I'm sending out? Do I need to be more discerning? Do I need to be more specific? As I'm setting out this energy and these intuitive calls for those people and those opportunities that are going to really resonate with me. Part of that process is just knowing yourself, but knowing your authentic self, what's true from the whole picture perspective. And that's where trust really does come into play, because we are always evaluating everything energetically. And it's time to make that conscious for yourself, because as we navigate this paradigm shift that we're in and this new paradigm that we are building, it really requires us to be in the most present time version of ourselves, which is always changing, it's always refining. But to be able to navigate that reality from an energy perspective, from an intuitive landscape, being tuned into all of that, because then you'll be able to um, really trust and follow the resonance, trust and follow where what is showing up and how to move with whatever is happening. Um, and again, it doesn't mean like anything is good or bad, or I mean, it's a great opportunity to clear out any people pleasing tendencies you might have, or feeling guarded against things that you might have, people or opportunities that you might have, to really follow your resonance and to trust that what you're sensing, like, oh, this doesn't quite work with this person, or this opportunity really doesn't like gel well for me, or what I've been doing for work, it just no longer fits. It's okay to change. You would not be given the insight to or desire to want to change if you weren't equipped with the resources. And by resources, I mean your energy read and your intuition, which then connects you to people and to opportunities and to places and to insights and ideas for you to move your life in a new direction. And so trust is paramount to that. And I came across a video recently, just a short clip. I'll put a link to it in the comments, but it's about trust and it's also about lack. And that's kind of what inspired me to put this together today for you. So with that, I'm going to end there, and I'd be curious to leave in the comments below, what's your experience with trust? What's your experience with really trusting your intuition and your read of the energy? What's your experience of being able to navigate your relationship dynamics with other people, and really being clear on whether you want to continue a connection or not based on your intuition and energy read? Like, how are you using that in your life? I'd love to know. So and I'd love to know also what challenges you find with doing so, because that always gives me more ideas of what I could share on here with you, some little alchemy tips and tools to work with, so you feel more empowered around navigating life energetically and intuitively. Which leads me to what I'll close out with is, please do go to vasmith.com/energy-guide. Look at that program, see what it's all about. There really is a higher purpose for your energy sensitivity. We are in a new era. And those of us that are, I mean, everybody is going to be increasing in energy sensitivity, but it's a continuum, right? And so there's some of us that are going to be a little bit over here, where some people are like, oh, this is new. What is happening? And other people are like, wow, this is really loud for me. What the heck do I do with it? Wherever you are is totally okay, but it's something that will continue to, take place for the collective. And this program really seeks to support you in knowing how to navigate the activation and amplification of your intuition and your energy gifts. vasmith.com/energy-guide. That's my pitch. But that being said, I really do, with all of my content, hope you find at least one wisdom nugget in there that you can apply to your life and turn whatever is led into gold. With that, wishing you well, and I'll be back soon with another conversation on energy. Take care. Oh, I always like the smooth move out and then it doesn't happen. Here we go.